Good evening, folks. Tomás Ó'Sé here with you on behalf of Benetti, and welcoming you to another chat. We're having John Egan. Delighted to say John Egan. I'm gonna claim Kerry background. Everybody else in Cork will claim Cork background, but we have John Egan. And by the way, all the videos, if you go onto YouTube, if you're not on social media, etc., if you go onto YouTube, if you go onto Benetti Menswear, all the interviews are stocked and piled inside in Benetti Menswear. So just log in there and you'll get them. Okay, I'm looking forward to John. By the way, we have Gary Brennan of County Clare on Wednesday night and Kevin Cassidy of Donegal on just waiting. All right, John.
Hey, man. What's up, man?
I'm good, boy. How are you getting on?
Yeah, good.
Did you get good news this evening?
I don't know yet. I don't think it's all been kind of decided yet, but hopefully they can sort something out in the next few days.
I know, because a lot of in Ireland today now, all doom and gloom. John Horn was on the Sunday game last night, and I suppose fellas were expecting something different, but the championship won't be no championship till October, but there's still a small bit of hope.
Yeah, it's tough. It's hard when there's kind of no end in sight and you can't really look forward to anything. But yeah, I don't know really. Hopefully sooner rather than later. Anyway.
Are you training away, John, or what's the story? Have you been? How long since did you get back in terms of just training in small little pods of players, or what?
Yeah, I think it's about 2 months now since we had our last game, and for the first few weeks you couldn't really do anything. Like, you had to train on your own. So they gave us kind of equipment to bring back to our houses, and we were training away for a while. And then the last couple of weeks, we've been allowed to go back into the training ground in small groups. I think a lot of clubs have started doing it. So it's been better. Like, you're going in kind of groups of 3 or 4 and you can see the lads and stuff, and you can't really do much like what you can do running and stuff like that. No contact or anything. So it's a good way to start it off anyway. And it kind of feels like you're getting back to some bit of normality.
And I was, it's not, I follow the Irish fellas, right? But I'm not a huge premiership freak. Like, I'd be more of a gay man, right? But I was just listening on the radio.
You're not serious.
I was just listening on the radio this evening, and they were saying you'd be allowed contact sport next week, like.
I'm not really sure. I haven't listened too much to it, but I just saw there that they said they're hoping to get, top level sport back in June. So if there's no kind of spikes in cases or something, it might it might speed it up. But we're just kind of taking it week by week just to see the latest news and see when we can get back out there.
Would you be worried about it? Like, I suppose you heard about the team out in Germany. Is it Dynamo Dresden? Yeah. And there's a couple of issues in Spain as well. Would you be worried about that going forward, or?
I think the way they're doing it, they're making it really safe, and you just got to trust them that they're making it as safe as possible, because they wouldn't go back and try sort it out unless they could do it in a safe way. But yeah, there's obviously that kind of little bit of worry for everyone. But I think, especially in our environment, if we're going to be getting tested regularly, then it's safe. You know what I mean? Because you don't get tested kind of after you've been to the supermarket or after you've kind of been out. So. I'm sure they'll make it as safe as possible, anyway.
You're probably gagging to get back on the pitch, are you?
Yeah, dying to get back now. It's strange, like, 'cause it's so full on and you're in a bubble, and you don't really have time to think and take a step back from it. And now it's been like 2 months. It's probably the longest break a lot of players have had. And I think everyone's just itching to get back out there.
Geez, the Liverpool fellas will be disgusted altogether if the league is cancelled.
I know, yeah. Liverpool and Leeds, like, it only happened to 2 of them.
I know, but I mean, if you look and compare it to the football, like the 2-tier championship this year, Cork were going brilliant in Division 3, and now that league is gone. Like, it is hard. It's hard on them, like, but geez, if it's a complete write-off, they'll have to. It's a disaster, really, in terms of sport everywhere, all over the world. How have you been coping? How are the family at home? They're all good.
All good, yeah, all good. Just kind of trying to stay a bit sane and stay a bit busy. But yeah, it's been all right, to be fair, because normally during the season as well, you don't get time to kind of work on other things and, work on your fitness and stuff in different ways. And it's been all right. Like, for me, it's just been kind of train train, eat, sleep, repeat, really.
Yeah, geez, can I bring you back, John, to Bishopstown? Bishopstown is your club. I'm not going to go down the road.
Yeah.
I'm not going to go down the road of are you Kerry, are you Cork? Fellas in Kerry will claim you as Kerry, right? And fellas in Cork will obviously claim you as a Cork. I'm not going to put you on the spot there. But Bishopstown was your club, and you're still anytime you're back, you're there. What was Bishopstown to you when you were growing up like?
I loved it, yeah. I was only on Zoom the other night to a few of the lads who were in my team, and we were just talking about all the old games, like the under 12 games and the under 14, 16 games, and brings you back to a good place. We had a good hurling and football team my age, and I mean every day, like you're just up around the GA club, like, and you're pucking ball and you're kicking ball, and even now when I go home, and if I'm home for a few days, like we're straight up to the GA just pucking around as if we're teenagers again. It's brilliant, like, and the club have been very good to me, and I love going back every time I get a chance.
And your dad, John, was manager above there as well. I was talking to James O'Shea today. He said that John used to take him on in kicking competitions before they started training. And you'd be kicking the ball out to them behind the goal.
Yeah, I'd be behind doing doggies trying to kick the balls back out to him. But to be fair, my dad won a lot of them comps, even though he was a bit overweight at that time when he was the manager, and he still had it.
Well, if he was up against the likes of James O'Shea, sure he was going to win every night.
I hope he's not watching.
I hope he is. But you stay in contact with all the lads in Bishopstown still, John, you do?
Yeah, I do, yeah. So anytime I'm back and I get a chance, I'm up there, like even just going up to the clubhouse for a while and just to see people. And, you know yourself, the GA community is brilliant, and, you've kind of friends for life out of the place. And I won't rule out a comeback yet. I'm hoping to make a big comeback someday in a big Junior B game.
I remember there was something good. It was a good few months ago now, Brian Kirkburt, who would have taught you as well, would he?
Yeah, he was teaching. Yeah, he taught me kind of in primary school. I was never actually in his class, but he was like my main teacher. I'd speak to him all the time. And even now, the odd time when I go home, I go back up to the school and I just sit in the office with him and we just chat for ages. Like he's a very knowledgeable guy about sport, and he was kind of one of my big mentors growing up. Yeah,
and he was saying that he holds out for you someday to come back into Bishopstown, that you'll play some role yet. Did you ever think about, say, after soccer or whatever, like, do you think like, geez, I'm definitely coming home, or just, no, I don't see what happens over here, I might get involved in soccer over here?
I do, yeah. Like, well, it's hard, like, because obviously I love playing the soccer over here and I love where I am and stuff, but in the back of my mind, there's always a thing to go back and play for Bishopstown, like, and just play with the lads again for a while, because I do miss the game. I miss hurling, I miss football, like, and it'd be funny, like, if we all got back together sometime in the future and played a few games. I think it'd be great crack.
I was told, is this true, before you went over, just as you were kind of on the brink, were you training with the Cork Miners in hurling and football?
I was training with the footballers. I think I was about 15. I think it was, I don't know how long before I moved to England. And then I kind of made my decision to move to England, and I just took a step back from it. But yeah, it would have been a touchy subject for the old fella if I had to go play for Cork. Like, I think that's why he was so keen to send me on the plane.
I'd say it would have been touchy enough going down to Sneem every now and again as well.
Yeah, no, I don't think they could have handled that.
You lived as well beside it, is interesting enough, with you were neighbours with Callahan's, weren't you? And Damien and yourself would have been buddy, and Damien was in the bars, and obviously with Castlehaven with the football as well, like. And you played soccer together as well. Did you start off together were you the same age, were you?
Yeah, we were the same age. We played with Greenwood together all the way up, and it was quite funny actually, because I played with Bishopstown and he played with the Bar. He played with Bishopstown for a while, and then he went to the Bars, and obviously they were rivals, like, and I was playing soccer with all the Bars lads, and then I'd be playing GA with all the Bishopstown lads, and we used to play Bishopstown, like, and me and Damo used to absolutely puck the head off each other on the pitch, like, and we were best friends, like. And then literally 2 hours after the game, we wouldn't be talking to each other. We'd all be kind of, in the estate with all the lads hanging around, and me and him, we just wouldn't be talking for like a couple of hours, and then you just smooth it all over, and then like we'd stay in each other's houses and stuff. And it was funny, like, how when we played against each other, we'd hockey each other, and then we were off the pitch, we were grand, like, best buddies.
And he played it. I know he had a soccer team that went all the way. Was it to All Ireland or what? Was he a goalie?
He was a goalie, yeah, really good goalie, like really, really good. And he probably could have took it further, to be honest. But we won the All Ireland under 16 with Greenwood, which is unbelievable. Like, Greenwood, they're not the biggest club, and even in Cork at the time, no Cork teams were winning national cups, and that was one of the highlights of my life, really, winning that. And yeah, Damo actually scored in the final. He got the ball and he kicked it out of his hands. Oh, it length of the pitch, bounced over the keeper and went in. Yeah.
You probably enjoy that one. What was I going to say?
Yeah.
Around that time, was it still GA for you? Like before it came into your head serious about soccer, was it still full on? What age are you talking about there at that time?
That was 16. I'd already made my decision to go to Sunderland that time, but before that, it was kind of the hurling, football, and soccer were just probably the same from the age of about 12 or the age of about 10 to 15. And then I took a step back from the GA once I made my mind I was going to England. But it was a tough decision, like, because my favourite sport was probably football growing up. To play, but obviously the game has changed a lot now. But I was probably my best sport. I was probably, if I put my mind to it, I'd have probably been a better hurler. But no, I think once soccer kind of took off, my mind was made up really.
And what age were you when you first, like, I don't understand. What age were you when you first went across the water for a trial, or how does it work?
I think I was 13 or 14.
Was that spotted with the club in Cork?
I think I was playing in some tournament, yeah, and Scout brought me over and went over for one trial, and then they kind of wanted to sign me, and then I ended up going to a few more clubs, and it was kind of around then, once I'd been to 3 or 4 clubs, and I got offered a contract by Sunderland. I knew then my mind was made up once I seen the contract. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And what are the trials like? Is it over and is it just a match, or do you train for a few days, or did they kind of look at how you are as a young fella as well, don't they, and how you are, say, academically and all that crack, do they?
Yeah, especially Sunderland anyway. Like, they wouldn't kind of signed any bad eggs at the time, and we had a great group going over on trial. We had myself, and there'd be Alan Cronin for Nemo came over a couple of times, and then we'd meet up with 3 or 4 Northern Irish lads, and we'd all stay in like the same hotel for the week. And it's a bit weird, all right, because you're going in and you're training with lads, and they're all sound, all the English lads, but they're kind of in the back of their head, you're coming to kind of take their spot, and but it's hard to kind of to find the balance. But after a couple of games, and when the club say they're interested in you and stuff, and you're going to sign, it's much easier then, because the lads know you're coming over, and they're all trying to get to know you and stuff. So I mean, Sunderland was, out of the clubs I went to, it was just felt like home, and it was it was brilliant really. I loved every minute of it.
Was Quinn and his crew in charge of Sunderland at the time?
Yeah, they were in charge at the time, and the club were going really well. Like, they were finishing 10th in the Premier League and stuff, and flying it. And Niall Quinn was unbelievable for the club, and even having him over there, who kind of knew me through my dad and stuff, was brilliant. Just to be able to talk to him. And I think on the day I signed, like, he brought over myself, my mum, my dad to the Sunderland Newcastle game. And we were all up in the director's box and stuff. My dad is looking around and being like, "Jeez, this is brilliant!" Like, do you know what I mean? Chest out, like, yeah. And they all coming up to him, John Egan, because they all knew him from the guy. Like, yeah, it was funny, and he was the big man.
Was he? I saw somewhere, somebody told me today as well. I think it was James actually, that did he give you advice going over to, like, was it a hard decision for you? Like, it must have been an awful hard decision for you to go over.
Do you know what? It happened so quick that, like, it just happened. It was a tough decision, all right. The biggest stumbling block was probably the not doing the leaving cert. My mum really wanted me to do it, and I obviously wanted to do it, but it was either go over there or don't go over there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So she kind of got the education welfare officer in Sunderland to set out a plan for me, and he kind of, I did my leaving cert in England, do you know what I mean? Like, it wasn't the Irish leaving cert, but it was the equivalent. And when she was happy with that plan, then it was just, I was gone. Like, I really wanted to go, and my dad really wanted me to go as well. So once that was all sorted, then it was smooth.
And is it hard, like, when you go over, like, are you put up in digs, or what's the story? Are you in with another few lads, or is it tough? Like, it must have been, were you homesick, or did you find it hard?
Yeah, it was tough. Especially the first kind of 6 months. But we were so kind of busy. We were in the training ground every day from about 8 in the morning till 5 at night. So by the time you get back to the digs, you're kind of bayed out. But I lived with a Northern Irish lad, Patrick McElhinney, and we were in the digs with a lovely woman. And she was sound out. Like, you could just kind of, it was easy going. Like, it was kind of like living at home. You could, you didn't really feel out of place there or anything. But obviously, you go home then. I'd go home then for a weekend, and then I'd be going back, on the plane, thinking, I don't want to go back here, like, just want to stay at home for another while. So that was tough at the start, but you get used to it, and it's, I'm happy it's worked out. Like,
And your parents, they'd be able to get over. Like it's not that long a journey over
Mm.
anyway. So you'd have, if you needed help or you needed, would the buddies go over or whatever at that stage?
Yeah, all the time. They grew very fond of Newcastle, which is only 25 minutes from Sunderland. But it was only an hour flight, Cork to Newcastle every Friday, Sunday at the time. So it was handy. Like whenever you needed to kind of get home or whenever people wanted to come over, it was fairly easy.
What age were you then, John? And I'm not going to spend too much time on it. What age were you when your dad died over?
19, just turned 19 in the October, and then he passed in April, 2012. So yeah.
That was tough. Like, did it take you a while to settle down after that again over there, or?
Yeah, that was really tough. I remember I was off for like 2 weeks, and Martin O'Neill was the manager at the time, and my U team or my reserve team manager was Kevin Ball, and they just said stay at home as long as you want. So I went home for the funeral, and then like 2 weeks later, I just thought I need to get back to kind of normality. Like so, I said to my mum, my sister, like, "Are you all right?" and stuff, and then I went back. I knew the season was only on for another few weeks, so I just went back for a few weeks just to like try and keep busy, and that all again just went like a blur. But yeah, it took me a long time to kind of fully come to terms with that. To be fair.
Yeah, I can imagine. There was, do you know what? I was just checking. Like, I had to do, geez, I'm doing these interviews and I can get obsessed with them. So I start checking up on you. Like, you were at
Yeah,
Sheffield. I didn't realize you were on loan at Sheffield years before you actually joined up with them. Then, no.
yeah, years ago. Yeah, about 8 years ago now. This month I'd say I went there for a month. They had a few injuries and stuff, and they needed a centre half for a couple of games. So I went there and only went there for a month. Played one game, so it wasn't the best of loan spells. But no, it was funny when I joined back because they obviously bought me back, and it just brought me back to that time. Then I was thinking, Jesus, a year since I've been there. But yeah, it's ironic that I ended up here now and ended up getting promoted and stuff.
How would you compare the training over there to the GA training? Like, is it much more professional? You know a lot of the Cork lads and Damien, I'm sure.
Yeah,
Is there much difference, do you reckon, in what they're doing? I know you're at it every day and I know it's your job
yeah.
and all that, but in terms of preparation, how would you compare them?
I wouldn't say there's much difference in terms of the training volumes and stuff. I'd say if anything, they train more because we've more games. So whenever I speak to Damien and the lads, like they're training hell for leather for a long time before they even have a game. Whereas we could have, especially in the championship last year, we'd have 3 games a week. So most of the training is recovery, just getting your body ready for the games. Whereas the boys would be training, every day of the week and for 3 or 4 weeks before they even have a game. So I think that's probably the difference really. And I suppose over here then you're in every day, so they know when the games are coming. There's a full fixture list set out, you know what I mean? You're not waiting for any draws or anything. So everything is just planned down to a T. Um but yeah, in terms of the volume and stuff, they probably train harder at times than us, to be fair.
Yeah, geez, I think the big difference is the rest. Like, when you
Yeah,
get the rest, the boys are either in college or they're working or whatever. And you went,
yeah,
say, things started taking off for you when you went to Gillingham. You had a couple of good seasons there. You went to Brentford, and
yeah.
then you came to Sheffield United. And anything I've seen, geez, they love you there. They absolutely love you. I'd say
Ah,
you're enjoying it there. Like, are you?
yeah, I'm loving it. The fans are class. With the whole promotion and stuff last year obviously helped, but it's a big club. Like you walk down the streets and you don't really see many Liverpool, Man United jerseys. It's not kind of one of them cities. You just see either Sheffield United jersey or Sheffield Wednesday jersey. And obviously with the success we've had, you see more Sheffield United jerseys nowadays than the Blue might. But no, it's a great city. It's a fantastic club, and I have an unbelievable relationship with the fans. And we've had good success. So hopefully, long may it continue.
You have a good relationship, I'd say, as well with Chris Wilder. I'd say that song I saw you singing with him there.
Yeah.
I was thinking in my head, would you ever see John Egan and Nick O'Dwyer doing the same thing?
I'd say they probably did, but we never got to see it. There was
There was no social media.
no social media back then. I'd say they had a lot of sing songs.
They were lucky out.
Yeah.
What's a normal day for a Premiership player, John? Like, what time do you train in the morning? What time do you eat inside? What time are you done inside in Sheffield United? Like,
Every day is different because some sessions are tougher than others, but the average day you probably get up, you get into the training ground before 10, have your breakfast, and then we do like a pre-app session as a team, all kind of stretching and mobility work and stuff. and then we'd be out on the pitches. And our training's tough. Like we train really hard. You know, the manager wants us really fit, and you know, I think that stands to us. But we train then for, you know, an hour and a half, 2 hours, maybe an hour and a half, and then we'd have a bit of lunch at the training ground. Have a gym session, either upper bodies or lower bodies or power or something, and then, you know, it's kind of just go in, get your rubs or whatever, and then you're kind of free for the day. So you'll be done around 2:30 kind of most days.
How would you kill the rest of the day then? Like, are you into golf, or what are you into? Do you do anything at all?
Yeah, a little bit, yeah. But we've a good coffee club at the club. So after training, literally nearly every day after training, there's a good few of us just sitting in Costa having a coffee, chatting for ages. But I remember I was actually reading your book. It came to me the other day, and I remember you said one summer you just, for games and that, you just watch series and, you know, you rest and stuff like that. Coming up to games when you've time off and stuff. I don't know what, I think you were watching The Sopranos or something. It just came to me there a while ago. And basically that's it. You're just kind of, during the week, you're mindful of not doing much because you know you have a game. So, you know, you get back from training and, you know, you're still thinking about, you know, the last game or the next game, and, you know, you don't want to be doing too much because you want to be right for the weekend. So it's kind of, it's 24/7 really.
Mid-season, do you have any? And I'm sure the lads still go over to you. Like, do you get to hang out with them? Do you get to go on a night out with them? What's it like in terms of the social side of it? Here, the rugby lads seem to have a better balance on it, like in that they can go out for a few beers, whatever the GAA it is, would start for weeks on end. What's it like for you? Like, do you do it sensibly, or what do you do?
Yeah, it's every now and again. You know, you can't be going out every week or every night of the week. So it's when the time is right, really. You know, you have to have a few drinks every now and again, and especially if you have a few with the lads, it's the best way to kind of get to know people. But because there's so many games, you don't really get a lot of chances to do it. You kind of have to try and wait for your summer to, you know, have a good go at it. But no, every now and again, it's not like as full on as the GAA where you're on drinking bans and 6-7 week drinking bans. But it's, you know, it's not the other way either. It's just about finding the balance. And, you know, if you have a game on a Saturday and there's another game the following Saturday, you might go out for, you know, a couple of drinks or whatever, food and stuff. And, you know, you're not going to, like, I hear stories there about the GAA lads, they're seen, you know, having a sip of beer and, you know, they're dropped. And I just think it's crazy because, like, you know, a couple of beers won't kill you at the right time.
Exactly, yeah, I know. Well, you must get some buzz going to the likes of Old Trafford, going to Anfield, meeting the best or playing against the best. Who are the fellas now? I won't say that because I was reading today, you're coming out on the stats. Your stats are fucking unreal in terms of defensive, in terms of clearances, tackles made, headers, every sort of thing. Who are the strikers that are causing bother over there? You say, geez, I'm going to have a tough day today.
The Liverpool front three are unreal, but the best striker is Aguero. Like, we played Man City twice, and he touched the ball about 4 times in the whole games, and he scored 2 goals. Like, just, I remember we played him away at the Etihad, and the referee got in the way or something, and someone slipped him through. And like, everyone just knew goal, like, just give him a chance, it's a goal. So I'd say he's definitely the best striker in the league in terms of finishing and stuff. But the Liverpool front three, especially at Anfield, they gave us the run around a bit, like, and that was a tough night at the office.
Is it like, would you be wrecked after 90 minutes, like absolutely shocked after it? Like, is it where you can time it? Are you sprinting all night? Is it just more about reading the game at centre half? Like, what's it?
Yeah, it's tough. That's one thing you notice about the step up from the Championship to the Premier League, is that, like, after every game, mentally and physically, you're exhausted because the tempo is much higher. You're doing more sprints. You know, you're playing against faster players, stronger players, and, you know, it's just tough. It's probably, for me, being a centre half, I'm kind of organising, and, you know, I'm not probably doing as much running as midfielders or even the 2 lads beside me who overlap. But for me, mentally, like, I have to stay switched on because, as I said there, if you leave someone like Aguero in, it's a goal. Like, so you just have to try and stay switched on for 95 minutes, as long as it takes. And then after the game, you're just exhausted. You just want to go back and lie down for ages. Matt Doherty there. Number 3. He's playing the right wing. You're playing the right wing, Matt. Get back and defend.
He's tuned in. What was I going to say? What the managers over there, like this Chris Wilder, is he a character? Like, is the days of, like, I was talking to Damien Delaney there lately, and he was telling me the days of fellas going in letting the hairdryer kind of crack. What's a premiership dressing room like? He said with the influx of foreigners, you don't rip the heads off them anymore. Like you have to kind of. Is it a kind of like a GA atmosphere inside in the dressing room before? And come on, lads, let's get out here, or is it more calm?
Yeah, one thing about our dressing room is probably a bit more GA. Like we've kind of all our players are like English, Irish, kind of that kind of mentality, and people do call each other out, and the manager he's really good with his words, and there's always a bit of fire in the belly going out for games, and if you're not doing it, you'll get it. If you're not playing well, you're not performing, working hard, you'll get the treatment, and it even comes from the lads. A lot of our players are men, like, and we just want the best out of it, and want the best out of each other. But I can imagine that some teams with kind of a bit more foreign influence is probably a lot different. But that's what I love about our place. I said it last year, even like the celebrations and stuff. It reminds me of kind of a GA team, and we're all kind of close that way.
You seem very close. Like there's always good banter, even on social media or whatever. What you make of Stephen Kenny getting the Irish job? You're not going to say anything bad about him anyway.
No, exactly. No, it's good. Hopefully we can qualify for the Euros now. They've been pushed back a year, but yeah, it's exciting always when there's a new manager. Like it's another man to impress, and yeah, it's exciting.
I'd be killed by a lot of fellas. You were in obviously the last setup and all that. How did you get on with the Bowled Roy? How did you get on well
good.
with him?
Sure, Roy's obviously a Cork man as well. Yeah, good crack with him. He's good. Obviously, Roy Keane. The name speaks for himself. So it's great to be able to work with him, and we always had a bit of crack. To be fair, he's sound and he's a legend. So you're always kind of looking up to him in a way.
Oh yeah, come here. I'm not going to hold you much further. Say, I saw if after whatever match you played last year, you came back and you watched. You still go to Kerry matches. Would you still go to Cork hurling matches? Anything you can, if you can get across, you'll come to them. Like even if Bishopstown reach a county final, you'll be freaking straight home.
Yeah, anything. If I'm available, I'm there. Like the last game I went to was the All Ireland final. The first game we were meeting up with Ireland the same day. So I just, I said, could I just meet up a little bit later, go to the game and stuff, and went to the hotel, dropped the bags, went to the game. Gutted that we didn't win. Should have won that day, but it's great. It's great to go back, and even just to be around Croke Park in the All Irelands. It's brilliant, and hopefully one day Bishop can get to a county final, and I can be on the first plane back to see him win it.
Because your dad managed them the last time they got to the final, didn't he?
Yeah, I think they got to another final a couple of years after, but that time, they got to the final against Nemo, lost. I was the water boy, so I'd be running around with the water onto the pitch with James O'Shea, my idol, growing up, trying to throw him the water. We could have done with you, actually. We could have done with you back then.
Oh,
but you wouldn't come.
Stop.
You wouldn't come. You should have
Monty
came for
was the man.
Yeah, you should have came for a stint.
Did you ever talk to your dad about the old days and the good old days of the Kerry team? Like, because I remember your dad was always described as really calm and relaxed inside in the dressing room, right? And then Paddy was the complete opposite. Like, he'd be going around nearly headbutting walls, like. And somebody said one day that before some All Ireland, that John turned to Paddy while they were, and Paddy was really key-eyed now, and he says, where we go for a pint afterwards? Paddy says, Paddy looked at him like, did you ever speak to him about the old days? Or I suppose he had great stories, like.
Yeah, he had great stories. Like, the few spring to mind there now, Paddy and stuff. He said, like, even mornings of All Ireland or the night before or whatever, I don't know, he said he'd be in the room and he'd hear an awful racket outside the room, like, and he'd pop his head out and he'd see Paddy running up and down the corridor, like, with a ball, like, baiting off balls and that. He said it was great crack. And he told me another funny one. He told me a funny story that he was in New York with Paddy, I think. And they went over for a weekend to play games or something. Mm. And they obviously went out, had a few beers, whatever, and a bit of a late one. And they were playing a game the next day. And he said, they were both bayed out going to the game. And he said, so we got to the game anyway at 12 o'clock. Paddy had a bit of a stinker. He got whipped after 20 minutes and then went a bit silent. And then he goes, I scored 1-5 myself. And I was laughing at him. I was like, away with that.
Oh, Paddy always said that of all the forwards, his plan was unreal. But he said, your father, if he had the ball in his hands, there wasn't a stronger man. He had the strongest arms. And he said you could never get inside him once he had the ball. He was unbelievable, unreal. Come here, John. I suppose I'm looking forward to the year ahead. I'm actually a Sheffield. I'm a Blades man as well now.
Good man.
I follow the results now and all
You've
that.
all the stats now and everything.
Well, I was looking at the stats today. I won't say I understand it, but I follow it, and I hope to see you giving another sing-song, driving from the front at the end of the year. All right, thanks a million.
You're always welcome anyway, Tomás. Anytime you fancy it.
Yeah, geez, I'd love to go over some stage, bye. All right,
top man.
We're all the
soon.
best. I'll talk soon, bye.
Cheers, Tomás. Take care, bye.
John, bye. Thanks,
Good luck.